If we want to focus on your acceptance, which I think for most people is probably what they struggle with the most, I'm going to share with you just a few simple tools that you can apply. There's 29 in the book, but let's just go with top line.
Love it.
The first one is going to be extremely aware of thought versus internalization. Okay. What does that mean? You might find yourself, if something doesn't go well, if someone gives you negative feedback, you might start thinking to yourself, oh, I messed up. I failed. I'm not enough. And it may not be anything you would verbalize, but it would be things you would think to yourself.
Yeah.
That language of I am, fill in the blank. This is called item identification. So we're becoming that thing. I am a failure. We become that. I am not enough. We become that. One thing you can do instantly, which is super simple, it's called cognitive diffusion. It's to become aware of your thoughts rather than being your thoughts. So instead of I am a failure, you would say to yourself, I'm noticing a thought that's telling me I'm a failure. And it sounds really weird and robotic. When we share this with people, they say, really? You want us to say that? And the idea is, yes, you want to say that because you're hijacking that autopilot.
Yes.
Also, you're re-engaging. When you're consciously aware of your thoughts and what you're saying, you are re-engaging those prefrontal regions in the brain.
Yes.
Which means you get more blood flow there, which means naturally the blood that was all in those threat detection fear centers naturally reduces.
Yeah.
So we get less activation there, more there. So I'm noticing a thought that's telling me I'm a failure. Same thing applies with emotions. You might say to yourself, oh, I'm so stressed. I'm so anxious. You are becoming the emotion. It sounds very fixed. You are not the emotion, just like how you're not the thought. Yeah. So you'd say, I'm noticing that I'm carrying a lot of anxiety. I'm noticing that I'm feeling sensations that are related to frustration.
Yeah.
So you're just creating that pause. Again, that's called cognitive diffusion. It separates you from the experience, and that's going to be really valuable for anyone who struggles with acceptance, recognizing you are not your thoughts. You can separate. The second tip here, you don't strike me as someone who tends to over-apologize.
Oh, actually, I do.
Oh, okay. So perfect. So let's go into this then.
I think I'm getting better at it, but yeah, I used to say I would, if I hurt somebody's feelings or be too intense at the office, and I do this, I go on the apology tour. So my brain leader and I years ago was like, he would say to me, don't go on the apology tour.
Don't go on the apology tour.
So yeah, there's no question I have that in me, but that's the negative side or the really weak side of people pleasing.
Completely, which relates to low acceptance.
Yeah.
And so something that is so simple to do is the next time you're about to apologize when you haven't actually done anything wrong. I mean, if you've done something wrong, go for it. Apologize to your heart's content. Yeah. But if you haven't actually done anything that warrants an apology, shift to appreciation or gratitude instead. So instead of, sorry, I'm talking too much, which lowers your status and makes you feel worse, you would say, thank you so much for listening. You're communicating essentially the same thing, but it just comes across so differently. You're moving from, I'm not enough, to, hey, I'm going to acknowledge you for being here with me. And then you lift yourself and the other person. Instead of, let's say you're 30 seconds late to a meeting. A lot of people will rush in and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm late. You put a spotlight on your deficiency. You could say, thank you so much for your patience. Yeah, you're famous for that. So you can try the thank you for your patience. I really appreciate, I really appreciate you waiting.
Yeah, that's
Now, of course, if it's like more than 5 minutes, you may want to apologize if you're creating inconvenience. But if it's just these little things, shifting into gratitude for the other person and also paying attention to what is the quality in the other person I want to acknowledge right now.
That's good.
And another really good one, especially for people who feel like they can be quite emotional at work. So I'm talking, there are a lot of women who identify with feeling very emotional.
Sure.
Some men too. Research has found that when you use language of, oh, sorry, I'm just emotional, it undercuts your credibility and it lowers the perception other people have of you. It also makes it feel like a really bad thing. Sorry, I'm so emotional. If you simply shift to, you can either say, thank you for bearing with me, or if you want to actually increase your credibility, you would say, I'm just really committed to this. I'm just so passionate about this. So instead of I'm just emotional right now, I'm really committed and passionate to this. And that instantly increases the perception of credibility in the minds of other people. It makes you see it differently, as if it's not something you need to apologize for. And suddenly, that is a demonstration of greater self-acceptance.
Cheap stuff usually costs you more. you buy the bargain mattress and 3 years later, you're replacing it. That's why I love Avocado Green Mattress. They're assembled in the USA with certified organic materials, and they're built to last. So you're not throwing it out in a few years. That means less waste and a healthier home environment. That's how you buy well. Go to avocadogreenmattress.com/Ken and get an extra $50 off adult mattresses with the code FRONTROWSEAT.
Have you ever used positive affirmation? Like, I'm enough. I'm worthy.
In therapy, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to share something with you and anyone who struggles with acceptance that might completely change the way you view positive affirmation. And it's that if you struggle with self-acceptance, positive affirmation backfires and makes you feel worse. It backfires and makes you feel worse. And it's because it is fundamentally at odds with how you see yourself. And you cannot lie to your brain.
Right.
Because what happens is then you get those voices saying, you're not worthy. Who do you think you are? And it becomes even worse for you. You get into this negative self-perpetuating cycle. So this is also why I think it's so important for us to be aware of what is driving our doubt, because there are these big solutions that were offered like positive affirmation.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work the same way for everybody.
Right.
And that's why some people can become so disappointed with their growth journey because they get one tool and then they try it and then it doesn't work or they feel worse and then they throw they throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Which is such a horrible analogy.
I know.
Let's not damage any babies. So what do you do instead of a positive affirmation?
Okay.
It's to shift into something more growth-oriented. For example, not I am worthy, I'm enough. It would simply be I am capable of learning and growing every day. I don't have to be perfect to be on this journey of self-development.
Right.
So it's very, very pragmatic statements that meet you where you're at.
That's right.
And if you repeat these more, because we know that words create worlds. So the words that we have up here create how we feel, which influences how we show up and then how other people respond to us. When you can be more pragmatic and realistic in your affirmation, so we call it a self-validating statement.
Yes.
That's when things shift.
Because think about it, I am enough. What does that even say?
No.
That's a very good point. How does that square with all of the positive thinking? I'm thinking of Norman Vincent Peale wrote the classic, The Power of Positive Thinking. How does that square what you just said with that whole genre?
So it's complementary. What we know with research, with insights that come from authors or experts, things evolve and change. So this insight that positive affirmation backfires when you struggle with your self-esteem and self-acceptance was only discovered in the last 10 or so years. It hasn't been widely, spread to mass understanding yet, but we need to be open to things evolving and changing.
Yes.
And I think we need to also find what works for us. Because even though I just said it backfires, when we look at research, so how research operates is that you're looking for statistical significance. You're looking for something to improve or decrease in a way that is measurable, and it's improving or decreasing to an extent that you can say, yes, this produced this result. That doesn't mean that 100% of the people in that study did experience that. It's just that enough people experienced enough of a change for it to be significant. So you might struggle with self-esteem, but actually positive affirmation works really well for you. And if that's the case, do that. Yeah. But if you find that it doesn't, know that it's probably because this research suggests that it's it's contradicting how we see ourselves, and that's why it's not working. So find something else. And I think positive thinking is powerful. Optimistic thinking is powerful. I think realistic, pragmatic optimism is more powerful.
Yes.
So it's not things are always going to work out, because then if something doesn't work out, you then question, well, was I mistaken? What's going on? Right. Maybe I should never think that way. It's things may work out, and if they don't, I'll be okay.
That's why your could list is important.
Yes.
If I have a substantial could list, I can revisit. Is that what I'm learning? I'm trying to learn real time here.
You can, absolutely. So you do what's on your will list.
Yeah.
And then once that's done, you then go, okay, great. What else was on my could list? What else can I do?
Right.
And just by doing that, that's how you create your own momentum.
Yeah.
Because every action that you take, I think James Clear writes about this. He says, every action that you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become.
Yes.
Because you're getting a proof point of who am I? Am I the kind of person that takes action when I feel like everything is out of my control? And if I'm that person, then how do I keep being that person?
Yeah.
And that's how we can also change our histories and change fundamentally how we see ourselves and then change our personalities.
Yep.
And it starts with having enough of those proof points that, hey, I am this kind of person. That's who I want to be.
That's good.